Hey guys, Stealth here. Today with a 1v1 ranked match. Now I don't cover these things quite often, but they tend to have some really good gameplay. What we have here is CzechNorris versus, and this is where I run into trouble. It's, I believe, some Russian. I don't know. I just cannot read that. So we're gonna call him Red4 for now, against CzechNorris. CzechNorris is using a general EU deck, so we're looking at a Eurocore deck. And since this is Plunge and Valley, and you don't get that many starting points at the start of the match, you're gonna have to try and either capture as much terrain as possible, or play a little bit more conservatively and try to capture as many of the zones as possible. Whichever you go for is of course your own choice. Now let's see what he starts out with. I'm really curious to see what I can learn from his gameplay here. He's deploying helicopters first. We have the Tiger HAP, so this is the anti-air one. Well, not strictly anti-air, but this is the one that comes with the short-range Mistrals. We have a Gazelle, probably a scouting buddy. And now we're seeing AMX-10 RCs, which are getting deployed along this road, potentially to go down to Bravo. A couple of VLRAs as well. VAP 2013 with infantry and recon infantry. Flak Panzer Gepard on that side. Left flank is spawning in with a VAP and a VLRA as well. We're looking at ATGMs and recon. Further AMX-10 RC and another VAP. We have a Crotal. Always a nice unit, these Crotals. Second Crotal. Looks like on the right he's only going with the Gepard. And a Martyr 1. And I saw Leclerc spawn in. There we go. Okay, so by the looks of it, this is what he's starting with, and over on the left we also have two more units, VABs, with infantry and recon. Right, I'm running it on twice speed because watching units move to their destinations is generally not the most interesting aspect of the game. Now the Gazelle and the Tiger are rushing forward. I'm thinking that this is probably because he's trying to kill off any either recon units quickly, or to neutralize units which are going to quickly capture territory that he really wants to get. So right here, he got the first kill on the enemy helicopter. Mi-8 goes down. I'm not exactly sure what was in the Mi-8, but it does allow him, with his fast transports, the motorized ones, or the wheeled ones I should say, to quickly capture these buildings. So he's being really aggressive in his push. Now this is when Red 4 spawns in the MiG-23, which instantly kills off the Tiger. I'm not exactly sure if he was going for a high value target, in the sense that he wanted the Tiger dead, or because it was interfering with the rest of his strategies. Anyway, we have taken up position on the far side of Alpha over here. We have commandos, we have a Martyr with infantry, a Crotal in case the enemy decides to push forward more helicopters. On the right, he has the MX-10 RCs put forward, which are neutralizing, or at least forcing the BMP-3s, which are pushing forward a little bit further back. BTR-90 out in the open. Unfortunately, the AMX-10 RCs are not really that long ranged, 2100 meters. The Leclerc would be even better, but then of course the Leclerc is going to immediately start eating ATGMs. So for now he is taking control of Bravo. Let's just analyze what he's taken there. He's brought Legionnaires. He has the Commandos, which I think came out of the VLRA, and then the Legionnaires came out of the VAP 2013. The Leclerc on the back there, making sure it's not going to get sniped. Two TMX or AMX-10 RCs and some VTT with reservists inside. Then we have the Gazelle that we saw earlier, the HGM unit here, the Crotal, and on the left we have two units with infantry which are yet to be offloaded. HGM to neutralize any vehicles coming close, AMX to spot for it, although in its current position I might be too far back so that this tree line is blocking his line of sight. And he is just pushing forward with a VAB. It seems that Red 4 at this point has either not dedicated any forces here, or we just cannot see them yet. Turns out to be the second, we cannot see them yet. Scratchhead engages the VAB. It's going to take a while for the Scratchhead to punch a hole in that VAB. VABs have one armor on every side. Scratchheads don't do enough HE damage to adequately quickly kill these things off, unless they get too close. Thanks to an ammo explosion, the VAP loses all ammo, and they're not really going to survive for very long. Now, I think that at this point Czech has sensed weakness on this flank. So he's trying to get his infantry rushed into the town, where Red 4 does have some units parked. And some VDV quickly take out his transports and the legionnaires inside before he gets the chance to deploy them. That means that we have a very panicked squad of commandos which are trying to rush back. They're still firing their weapons over their shoulder, machine gun no less, which is quite the feat, I'd say. Scratchit trying to nail them. Fortunately, seemingly not quite into range, but now they have a good lock on them, and the MI-24 VP is there to knock them off. With that, he really has very little defending his left flank, but he's too busy on the right flank, where we're still engaging down the middle. There's a B tier 90 dead. We have the reservists deployed, and now it's time for the Leclerc to go do what he does best, which is quickly ambush and neutralize multiple targets. Be it infantry, be it transports, it doesn't matter. They can quickly neutralize most, if not all of those. Now he still has control of these zones. He hasn't actually captured the right one yet, although he has brought in command infantry. But I think that he's... oh, there we go, that's the Panther down. I think that he's micromanaging his other forces so much that he hasn't actually been able to pay attention to the Panther and drop off his command infantry. As for points, Red 4 has gained 54 points so far, out of 500, so he's only at a 10%, but then again we have 35 minutes left. Czech hasn't taken up any points yet, but the moment that he starts deploying here in Bravo, and potentially into Foxtrot as well, he's going to get more points ticking in. There we go. There's Bravo captured. Now note how he immediately flies the helicopter away, as to not give the position of the command infantry away. Marder 1 pushing forward all by itself. I'm not exactly sure why. He might be trying to look for weakness in the enemy positions. That could be an explanation. Just trying to do consistent probing on pretty much every location, seeing where there's weakness. And if there's weakness, he can quickly capitalize on that, because most of his units are really, really quick. Now, Blue 4 pretty much controls most of the map. What is Red 4 going to do? Because Red 4 has the same income in units as Blue 4. So that means that they can just as quickly deploy new units, and they might be gathering additional forces in Delta. And you don't quite know which way they're going to go. They're not likely to come into Bravo because there's the Leclerc and there's quite a defensive perimeter. And I think that Red 4 by this point knows that. This area of attack is going to be more difficult than either pushing down the middle or putting additional resources into Foxtrot. Mesotroki, these were the ones that were coming after the Martyr and actually killed off the Martyr, have spotted the Commandos. Commandos in return fire off some rounds but don't really do that much damage to them, but they do force the Mesotroki back. We have additional VAPs coming in. Again, recon infantry. Recon is everything apparently. VTTs, some more reinforcements in the form of reservists, another ATGM unit, a second ATGM unit, mortar, and further recon. And as per the standard game rules, you take a crossroads by not either slowing down and then slowly making the turn. No, you come down the road at full speed, you notice that you overshoot your crossroads and you come back onto the road. This is, for some reason, how it's always been, and how I think this game will always be. Which still makes for some really, really comical effects. Now, MI8 spotted. It's getting into the range of the Gepard, but we don't know what else is getting into range of the Gepard. And unfortunately, this area is where he does not have any ATGMs, so he does not really have the capability of quickly intercepting those things. And yes, you could argue that the Legionnaires have ATGMs, but I'm not really looking for an Eric's. I'm looking for a Milan or something even further ranged. Unfortunately, this is the best ATGM unit that we're going to get in this deck. Lots of firepower, 26 AP. Accuracy is really good. Range is always lacking with the Milans, and most of the time the Milan is a really, really slow missile. Meaning that it's easy to either get out of range or try to put yourself behind some cover before that missile even gets to you. We have a sacrificial AMX-13 there. He's seeing whether it's whether there's anything in there that can probe it or that can attack it. So he's just using it as a probe. T-64BV pushes forward, fires a missile at the Gepard, but misses closely. That could have cost him his AA on the right flank. Artillery firing at... not exactly sure. Potentially at the previous location of the T-64BV, as the Leclerc is making his way through the woods, getting ready to take out some of these targets. We still have the triple BMP-3 threat over there on the left. 18 missiles between the three of them. And we also have infantry slowly but steadily getting closer to the Legionnaires. What do we have here? Further infantry. Moonwalking infantry by the looks of it. There's the Gepard, fires off a salvo, completely misses all of its shots, gives its position away. We have two planes circling, a MiG-23 MLD and an Su-27M. So they're definitely looking for high value targets to kill, and you can see that Leclerc is not presenting itself as the first one to die. He even turned all of the weapons off, making sure that this thing doesn't accidentally give its position away as it fires at a target of opportunity here. Now the left flank has gotten quite a few reinforcements. We have the VAB and the commandos, which are evenly spread out. Legionnaires there, commandos behind the building, and here comes a command unit. With that, he's going to have a +2, making the situation for Red 4 all the more necessary to start working and start actually pushing out. Reservists quickly get punished. Fortunately, the second squad wasn't into range to get panicked, but that's about to change. VDV 90 against reservists is just a done deal. These guys do not stand a chance. He's wisely withdrawing the Gepard, because at this point the Gepard could no longer be useful for the reservists. And this is when two T-64BVs come in. This is going to be a real problem. You could argue, well, the T-64BV is inferior to the Leclerc. Yes, it is, but not at close range. At close range, that 20 AP gun suddenly becomes a whole lot more powerful because of the kinetic values of the game. The closer you get, the more damage you do. That is with kinetic, of course, not HE. The T-64BVs are rushing forward, the commandos are firing their LRACs at them, not really doing a lot of damage. AMX-10RC is trying to fire. The Leclerc did not even get to fire the gun once. The AMX-10RCs are, but the T-64BV fires first, and just as easily all of these units are getting wiped out. Where there was a Gepard, reservist, transport, Leclerc, some AMX-10RCs for backup, they're all dead, and all we have left is 15 reconnaissance infantry units. Now interestingly, he's been able to go with his VABs completely behind enemy lines. These things do not really carry good optics, so it's not like they're probably going to be spotting whatever is coming close here. So I wonder what his plan is with these two VABs. Potentially it was just a successful probing operation, and he may have gotten a lot farther into the enemy territory than he was expecting initially. Right, additional commandos being offloaded, ready for the fight, as well as spotting. Unfortunately, what they cannot do is help the Legionnaires with that MI8. The MI8 is becoming a real pain in the ass here, wiping out all the commandos, and the surviving Legionnaire gets wiped out by Spetsnaz. And with that, all we have standing between these commandos, far into Bravo, and between the encroaching Spetsnaz and the command infantry is one group of commandos and one group of Panzer Grenadiers. Take note again of the sight position on the Martyr here, making sure that he cannot get flanked. Now he's engaging one of these aircraft. He has hit the 23, and unfortunately was not quite able to get kills there. Oh, look at this. Rushing forward. There's your command infantry. They're trying to return the favor by firing back at them. The VABs not quite getting into range, and so there's another high value target there. That's an AA piece. Unfortunately, at this point he doesn't have any long range AA, and I think flying in a bomber would not quite be safe. So he sort of knows where the enemy command infantry is, but this might just be an operation where he's trying to draw out the attention of Red 4, just to keep them occupied long enough, or keep him occupied long enough, with his attention on this area where he needs to kill those Vabs, so that the attention on the rest of the map gets lifted a little bit. Another bunch of reservists squaring off against what is most definitely not reservists, backed up by a BMPT. And as you can see, the reservists, these guys just melt. There's nothing that they can do against firepower of this caliber. And the reservists, I don't know if they even got a single shot off. But this is definitely a Red 4 offensive coming here. The BMPT and the VDV Monostrelki are pushing onto this side. And slightly off to the right we have the Rozvedki. Yes, there we go, Rozvedki, not Rozvedka. Squaring off against Panzer Grenadiers. This is a fight that the Panzer Grenadiers will win. But not if the Screzhets come in close and start putting down a lot of suppressive fire on this building. If that happens, then this becomes a whole different situation. VDV 90 are trying to help out their brethren, but it's just a little bit too late. The Rozvedki die, and so do the Panzer Grenadiers, thanks to the onslaught here from the Screzhets, as well as the VDV. And with that, he has lost his foothold in Bravo. This little advanced position is at this point probably getting flooded by red units. His forward position in the middle is about to be taken up by Modostrelki, and this area has likely already been taken over by the VDV. He's still trying to get some damage in here. I'm not sure what he was trying to snipe with the Peace Rhine. Potentially a transport. Sorry, that's a BMP-3. Some units shifting position here. So he's not quite getting the damage in that he likes. He does, however, have a new super heavy, a Leopard 2A5. Getting ready to help out with a very, very sizable gun on that one. And there we go, taking some damage on the Modostrelki. The VDV are going to take up the other structure, but cannot really do much at that range. Especially not against the VAB, and definitely not against the Leopard. There goes another recon unit. Time for the Milans to start helping out here. They fired a missile, lost line of sight on the target, and just completely veered off course. Peace Rhine comes in, just as it's making an attack run, it gets, or it loses line of sight, and gets killed off. Unfortunately, Krotal gets wiped out by the MiG-27K, but it could have been worse. It could have been the 2A5. Now, there's not a lot of cover in this area for tanks, but he just found the, or one of the two trees that are in this whole area. And that's the one that he's hiding behind. Now, he's trying to push back with a whole bunch of reservists, and the reservists are trying to make their way to the building under fire support of the 2A5 and potentially the AGGMs if they get range on anything. The BMP-3s, however, are having none of that, and while the reservists are scurrying for their life, they're getting wiped out 4 at a time. There's the other tank. That's, I think, the T-64BV that we saw before. There's really not that much to do, and unfortunately that's when the 27M comes in, gets a free shot at the... Where are you? There you are. There's the 2A5, or what used to be the 2A5. And with that, he no longer has his super heavy in the middle. His super heavy on the right died. But we're operating on the flanks with some special forces here. Panther comes in. Does not get challenged by anything so far. And thanks to its high speed, 300 kph, he's able to quickly get his forces in here and potentially wipe out the command infantry. However, that's when a couple of Mi-8s decide to show up. If these guys can crash the party, that would be most unfortunate. Oh, sorry, it's K-29s. Oh, crap. That was a close landing. Unfortunately, we have no survivors there. So these guys were not even called to deal with this threat. They basically just did a drive-by shooting, wiping out the helicopter and everybody inside. And as such, that flanking operation to kill off the enemy command infantry failed. We're gonna have to think of something else. Bravo is by now neutralized. It's no longer generating income for anybody. Czech at this point is at 196 versus Red 4 54. So they're still, or Czech is quite far ahead. But his forces everywhere are weakened. And something like this could be a devastating blow. Not that K-29s are particularly powerful. I I mean, they have rocket pods and an autocannon. But if there's nothing stopping them, other than a bunch of HGMs and a couple of AMX 1390s, that can prove to be quite devastating. More Skyers are getting dropped off, immediately wiping out the HGM infantry. Over on the right we have Mortar trying to help out with defending this town. He might land a few hits on the VDV as they're trying to make their way across that field. Good hit there. Bloody hell. 5 HE squarely on top of the VDV, wiping out half a squad. AMX 1390s at close range are getting murdered by the Morskaya. And not just that, the K-29s are also helping out. His entire middle flank is at risk, or sorry, his middle area is at risk of being killed off. Talking of being killed off, the VABs have not been dealt with and are now coming in with a vengeance. They're trying to wipe out the command infantry, but they're not terribly effective at it. There we go. Echo has been neutralized. So while Red was gaining a +1, or was gaining a, what I think was a +2, it's now been reduced to a +1 thanks to neutralizing Echo. So either Red has another command unit that, there we go, he already has another command unit coming in. Probably by the time that these guys were done killing off the enemy infantry here, he already called in another one. And that one is quickly taking up position in Echo. And as such, there is no real loss here. Command infantry still holding position in this zone, but that's just about all you can say. As fortunately some reservists and some Panzer Grenadiers have arrived to start pushing back the VDV and the Morskaya. But against the BMP-T, we still don't really have a weapon system that can adequately deal with it at long range. Another Pisaran tries to fly in, barely escapes with his life. So there's definitely enough enemy AA around, and he's making it quite difficult for Czech to operate with his aircraft. Marder 1 really has very little options other than to try and get close to the BMP-T. BMP-T is trying to keep that thing away from him, and just as the Marder gets into range where he might start to do something useful with the autocannon against the BMP-T, that's when the BMP-T turns on its autocannon and wipes out the Marder. Super Etendar comes in, narrowly misses the BMP-T with his first missile, but the second missile not so much, and there goes the BMP-T. Super Etendar takes a massive hit for 9 hit points, and the second one misses. So once again, the Super Etendar has survived, but only just. We still have a bunch of Morskayas left. The Panzer Grenadiers have taken the fight far back to where the enemy unit forces were initially landing. Literally landing, thanks to the helicopter offensive there. So the Morskayas are being pushed out, but there's not a whole lot left of those Panzer Grenadiers. Reservists are alright, but they're basically warm bodies with a gun. They're not always going to be too effective fighting forces. So what he really only has is the Panzer Grenadiers. And considering the amount of Red 4 units that we can see moving about here, that could turn into far more resistance for the Panzer Grenadiers than they're currently able to handle. Let's have a look at the left. I think he used to have an HGM unit somewhere nearby. At this point they are getting wiped out, and Red is trying to see if he's got his AA in order here, which he doesn't. So the M24 VPs, which are really not impressed with the small arms fire that the Commandos and the Legionnaires are putting up at them. The VAB much more so. But wiping out the command vehicle pretty easily, just flying in, killing it off, and that gives Red 4 a +1. Down the middle, we have a group of surviving Panzer Grenadiers, actually a new squad of Panzer Grenadiers, which just got their transport wiped out. And managed to evac their transport at the last possible second before getting wiped out entirely by the BMP-3. Let's see, I'm not sure if the helicopter here went down. That other gunship. This is the one gunship that got shot down by the VAB. Where's the other one? This is not the gunship that we're looking for. where is that Mi-24? And apparently this was just the first wave, those helicopters. To make matters worse, Alpha is being neutralized. Thanks to the fact that Red has pushed back and created a little buffer zone here, he can now put in a command unit, and Czech is now dealing with a +3 for Red 4. Sorry, that could be quite the problem. He can hold on to his point lead, but not for very long if Red 4 keeps up with his constant +3. Now the right flank, again quite lightly defended, but it hasn't seen a lot of action lately. I think Red at this point is quite happily just pushing onto the left sector here in Fox and holding onto the middle, or at least neutralizing the middle long enough for it to become another +2 or a neutral zone for him. Finally the Milans do something useful and take out a transport, but not before the Panzer Grenadiers lose quite a few units. And this one I think we're dealing with VDV. Wow, that was a lucky hit there. Normally, you don't quite get a missile hit at a situation like that, because it already lost line of sight, and these things are set or guided, so they're not fire and forgets. Further AMX 1390 triple stack coming in. Note how he's not using these as sheer recon units, he's using them as a sort of hunter-killer group. In the sense that they can provide fire support, they can provide anti-tank if you're feeling optimistic at 8 HE. They fire heat rounds, so with that they can still do damage to any tank they meet. It's just not going to be a lot. They're nice and fast, good optics, autonomy's pretty good. They do not come with a lot of armor, however. Still, I still really like these tanks. Mostly because I used to drive the hell out of them in the World of Tanks back in the day. Which is something that I haven't played in a long time. Anyway, the good old 1390. Back to the left side, where BTR 90 has been spotted, thanks to what I think is the virtue of the Commander's Para over here. Legionnaires are probably about to be in range with their Erics. They are getting some reinforcements, but this truck is going to be draining very quickly. And I think that they are... No, the BTR 90 just does not get into range. Now Alpha Zone has been neutralized, or at least Red has either moved out his command vehicle or is plotting something else. And yeah, Foxtrot has been recaptured, or re-neutralized, if that's the term, by CzechNorris. By doing that, he's no longer at that mercy of the +3. And so far, it's once again Red 4's move. Czech is holding on to the territory that he has, and if he can do that for long enough, for another 13 minutes, he will win. The question is, does he have enough forces? And what is Red 4 plotting? Where is he going to be attacking? Another probing attack here with reservists. The VDV are still there. Unfortunately, he does not quite have enough support units here to deal with the VDV at longer range. And it's not just the only one. We have a two-man team over here, which seem to be making a gesture like they were throwing a hand grenade. I don't believe they even carry hand grenades in this game anymore. That, if I'm not mistaken, used to be a feature in Wargame EE, European Escalation, where you could have anti-infantry, just standard frag grenades, and I think anti-tank grenades. But it's been a long time since I played that game. Anyway, we have an offensive on the left flank. BMP-3s have dropped off 30 Motostrelki. Motostrelki are rushing forward, while the BMP-3s have taken up position slightly further back, just to make sure they're not getting all wiped out in a single run. BMP-3s are ideal units for this range. 2450 meter range, which means that they have the same range as the HGM, so the Milans. Unfortunately, there are no Milans to help out, but even if there were, the Milan would be able to fire off a missile and potentially, before the missile hits, get his ass handed to them by that 2A70 gun on the BMP-3. Now, Tiger Hat comes in, potentially to help out with defeating these ground forces, immediately takes a big hit from the MiG-23 MLD, and there's another MiG-25 PD, which is probably going to be delivering the killing blow to this helicopter, if he can find it, that is. Interestingly, a Cub rushes forward, trying to provide potentially additional support to the aircraft here. AMX-10RC spots it, kills it, and that's another valuable AA piece down. And right now we're seeing another group. These are not the BMP-3s, but these could prove to be quite challenging all by themselves. A triple stack of BTRTs, grenade launcher transports with a lot of armor on them. The BMP-3s are moving forward in perfect formation, but without Modestroke to spot for them, they just cannot really do anything. They don't really have a target, they don't know what's out there. And, well, I think they do have medium... Yeah, they do have medium optics. They just don't have a spotter. That's about to change. The Commandos Para, I think, are currently engaging the Spetsnaz, but that means that they might be... Yep, they're already getting shot at by the BMP-3. Come on, wipe out the Spetsnaz. You need that spotter dead. I'm not sure if it died, I think it retreated. Right flank, or sorry, from the right side of this left flank, we're seeing assistance in the form of that AMX-10. Also, a couple of Super Etendars do a flyby with a Peace Rhine, wiping out what I think were all of the BMP-3s. He didn't even have to pay for that by a single jet. All of his aircraft are alive. Crotau, unfortunately, not quite able to help out, but this strategically placed Flak Panzer Gepard, I think, has already gotten his second plane kill here, if not the third, and is so far keeping the skies clear. 10 minutes left on the game, 208 versus 134. Red 4 is on the move, and if Red 4 can push further back here, he can get a +1, which means that in 10 minutes they're going to be, and I don't quite know what the rate of income is, he can be at, near, or even beyond the 208 points that CzechNorris currently has. I don't think they've quite spotted it yet, but reservists, which are getting pushed back by Sapori, as well as BTRTs, not really an option. And the Iltis is just withdrawn from this position. It's no longer safe, and he has to run if he wants to save this unit. This is currently where the action is. Let's just check. The other flanks are clear. Nothing going on there. They're both probably throwing quite a bit of forces at this region, trying to hold on to it. Crotal is being spotted, does not really have anything that it can do to help out against the MA-24 VP. That's about to change though, as Mankadi comes into range, and just as the Crotal was getting ready to fire, it gets wiped out by the MA-24 VP. The VP, now at short range, being engaged by the Tiger, interestingly here. There we go, that's the MA-24 VP down. Now the Tiger can go to town on these transports. And naturally, when you fire a missile, it just seems to be going directly for the target, and at the last possible second it veers off. Tiger currently engaging multiple threats, engaging the Spetsnaz over here with the main gun, finally getting a kill on one of the BTRTs, and there's the second hit, but not a kill, as these things have a lot of armor. The Panther was able to take it out, but we still are dealing with that +1. Couple of Rima getting deployed, with further Rima 85 from the Panther. Panthers can still prove useful later on if another ground forces attack comes in. And just as the Rima are trying to make their way to the building, another VP shows up, immediately wiping out those Rima. I am not quite sure who's going to win this fight, but the Tiger first is to fly over the area with the Sapori. In so, he has been shot at a little bit, but it proved to be just enough spotting for the Panthers to be able to take out these guys. And in a move at great risk to himself, the Iltis is considering, by the looks of it, going back. Just as he was considering that, he's getting once again threatened by the MA-24 VP, which is now engaged in a autocannon on autocannon fight with the Tiger Had. The 24 VP, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have a turret though. Actually, maybe it does. Yeah, here, I think it does. One of these helicopters did not have a rotating turret, and had to physically rotate the helicopter to get a good line of sight on the target. Anyway, the VP has been dealt with. Once again, the Iltis rushes in to neutralize the zone. Rimas are pushing forward, trying to hold on to these buildings for at least a couple more minutes, while they're trying to secure the position for long enough and maintain that point lead for long enough so that CzechNorris will win this fight. But keep in mind, we have 6.5 minutes left and everything can still change in that time frame. Super Etendar comes in, once again dukes the missile right over the target, flies right over the Scratchhead, which fortunately, while it's decent against helicopters, does not do very well against airplanes. Even the Iglas that quickly got offloaded don't do very much against the plane, and once again the plane survives. And this is when we run into further issues, as a Razvedka group was able to spot the command infantry.
Hey, wake up.
Damn it, TeamSpeak. And
Sound
not
muted.
just that, but we also are dealing with a potentially located command group here. Which means that if the enemy knows or has placed an attack marker on where they were, we might be seeing aircraft, helicopters or artillery coming for it pretty quickly. Modestrelki with BTR-90 support pushing forward. Once again the Panthers prove their worth by flying right into the face of danger, into the Scratchjet and doing some rocket pod damage to the Modestrelki here. Another group of Commanders Para getting ready to help out. And once again, a helicopter could prove to be quite lethal here. Fortunately, at this point, we have 2 flak panzers who are able to help out, neutralizing the helo, but not before the helo easily wipes out one group of the Commander's Para. BTR-90 trying to see any targets to fire at with the main gun or the grenade launcher. Doesn't get to do much, as the AMX-10 RC is trying to neutralize as much as he spots here. And he's getting very, very good luck or good results with that. We're going to be seeing Spetsnaz going up against Rima, but the Rima have the benefit of having a helicopter for support. That's not something that Spetsnaz are going to be surviving too much longer, so he quickly jumps them into the same building to make sure that rocket pods are going to be more difficult to fire. The Tiger does not really have a problem with that, wipes them out, so he's holding on to the zone for now. Couple of Vabs engaging the K-29 here. Not sure if these guys have already been dropped off from the helo. That remains to be seen. Yep, they have been dropped off. We still have a couple of Morskayas taking a lot of autocannon fire here. Unfortunately, wiping out that heroic 10 RC that did so well here on the flank, neutralizing the enemy when they came in rushing in. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough. So he's now rushing in closer, trying to get both autocannons on target, dealing quite a bit of damage, again at great risk to the VAP themselves. I always try to play these things safe, but he's just rushing them right in, and between the two of them they wipe out the Morskaya. Now, 3.5 minutes left. Where do we go from here? Martyr 1 rushing forward with additional reinforcements, and that's when... Ooh, that was close. What was that? I think he did a strike directly on the transport, or the Logitruck there. Yep, there we go. The command infantry, or sorry, command unit has been neutralized thanks to heavy artillery from Red 4. Of course, there's not that many locations to hide it, and between all the infantry offensives here, there was a fairly good chance that the command unit was going to be here. With that, we have a further +1 for Red. This is going to be a problem. We have 3 minutes left, and if Red 4 can keep that +1 ticking, we're going to see a lot of issues in the sense that this is going to be potentially a draw. Unless CzechNorris pulls something magical out of his deck here, in the sense that he might be able to get some additional zone neutralized. I'm not sure. He's potentially looking for it here. Note how he has the command infantry back there. And I think that this is a secondary Iltis. The other Iltis got destroyed here. If he finds nothing here, he might be able to rush his command vehicle into Delta, neutralizing the +1 and getting a +1 for himself. Note how close this is, 2 minutes. If he can keep pushing these guys forward and not run into anything, this could prove key. Unfortunately, a helicopter might crash this party. The K-29 does not have any natural enemies in this area. And apparently, Red does see the infantry here. We have at least one arty round coming in and potentially more. Long range fire takes out one Super Etendar. He's also rushing in another command infantry unit here. Taking... Oh, the Panther took a hit. Come on, drop him off. Drop him off. Oh, damn it. That was close. AA very nearly took down the helicopter. And, yep, here we go. The Iltis is neutralizing the zone. With about 80 seconds left on the clock, it's forced to move out again, as the infantry is trying to put up a screen of lead to deal with the K-29. The Iltis once again trying to settle into a position, but then another helicopter appears. Oh, come on, keep it steady at the moment. 60 seconds. Park it. Yep, he has it again. 215 versus 210. This is not going to be a victory unless we somehow get a lot of points in a very short time span. If he had captured Foxtrot and Delta, that would have potentially given him the points that he needed. Right now, though, we have 30 seconds left. 212 versus 217. All of the forces are rushing forward, but now he does not have any command units left. And he knows that in 20 seconds he's not going to be able to field another one. If he has any left in his deck, that is. So with 16 seconds left, we're looking at 212 versus 222, 223. Reservists are now rushing forward, potentially hoping to neutralize command unit in Delta, which would once again put CzechNorris at a positive income, but they just cannot find it in time. And that's how the game ends. 226 versus 212, which is close enough for a draw. But damn, that was close. Both sides fought extremely well here. You can see that they were very evenly matched. 37-45 kills, 32-65 losses. Now, in case you're wondering, 32-65 losses but only 32-50 kills. I think that this has to do with potentially a helicopter crash or something like that. Maybe something else exploded, such as a fuel truck, which damaged the transport and finally killed it off. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I think it might be something like that. As for the kill list, let's quickly go through that. We have the Tiger Hap, which was able to deal with the Mi-8 quickly before getting killed off by that airplane. Legionnaires killed off a BTR-90. This is potentially in the right flank where I might have missed it. Look at the kill list from the Scrotal. K-29, Semi-24 VP. Definitely quite a few kills here. VAP rushing forward. That was the one I think in the enemy's main zone. Killing off the command infantry there. Super Etendar, quite a few high value kills. If you kill just one of these, you get your point value back. Peace Rhine, some kills. Even one of these fighters that were consistently hounding off enemy airplanes. Legionnaires, AGGM Milan actually did quite a bit better than I'd expected. Dealing with the BMP-3, the BTR-90, and I think the BTR-90 might have the Spetsnaz group inside. Another BTR-90 and even some command vehicle there, the BRDM-2U. I think that at this point both of these teams were pretty much exhausted command vehicle-wise. They probably didn't really have anything left. Now, let's head over to the deck and see exactly what he has over there. Okay, sorry to disappoint, but he has not sent over his deck code, so I don't quite know what he had in his deck. We can sort of reconstruct it from the gameplay that we saw, but I'll leave that to you. So unfortunately I cannot provide you with a deck code for the deck that he was using here, the General Eurocorps. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that ranked match. Really, really close. Well done to both sides. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I'll see you soon for another video.